right, gang. Yes, yes, yes. Welcome to another episode of Psycho's Platters, always powered by coffee each and every time. Yes, I was a little bit touristy here. I think I showed this mug before, but over in Doolittle, Missouri, which is, straight off of Route 40, Interstate 44, there's a Stuckey's. It's a very small Stuckey's, though, but it's a Stuckey's nevertheless. Oh, my God. No, not you, Meg. I'm not laughing for that. It's just what rolled up. Brandon, how you doing? 12:31 here in the land down under. Good to see you guys. Good to see you. See, I'm not even on a minute, and I got a dozen of you guys with autism. Is that like I don't know, whatever. Anyways, and hola, indeed, yes, 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 yes. That looks like it almost looks like a sticker that I've seen on some of the records I've seen before. How you doing? How you doing? We might be showing a Shannon clip later. By the way, I haven't shown one in about a week or two, maybe three. I don't know. We got Vinyl. We got Vinyl Gorilla. Fred. We got Richard, and we got everybody here. I mean, let's face it. Yeah, that's right. That's how this works. This is always how this works. I'm glad to be here. Out of all honesty, I wasn't sure when I was going to be able to do this. I haven't even alerted the VC Justice League on any of this because I was just like, things are real strange. Okay. I didn't even know they got back together. I'm an idiot. Anyways, indeed, yes. So today's special title course, Crazy Eight. This is episode 888 of Psycho's Platters. I mean, it's like we're the 14 years worth. You cannot say there's not enough content on this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Especially when we get to 888 and blinking of an eye, blinking of an eye, we'll be at 900. Yeah, 900 shows. My God. I never thought I'd ever make it that far, Lord willing. Yes, and I've got some different video tributes and other things set up. We're gonna go now. It may not be the best video tribute, but it gives me an excuse to play this song, which we'll play in a minute or two. But I hope everybody's doing good there. Oh boy. Listen, seriously, thank you, Brandon, again for more records. By the way, I heard records from a Bob Less's Skunk Baxter. I could see that. I'd like to meet Skunk Baxter. That man is something else. Yes, yes, definitely Clem Burke. Like I said, the track that I'm going to play though is Blondie's, but it's something else too. And for some reason, when I just dug it. Okay, maybe you people may not like it, but I dug it. We'll play that in a little bit. But a lot of storms, a lot of rain. Not today, though. Thank God, not today. I think we're good for at least another week's worth. I don't think we're going to get any. Good day, Michael Nolan, if you're out there. Let's see. Hi, Jeff. How you doing? Hi, Paul. How do you like being an action figure? I know. I saw your Funko Pop. I did. So, unfortunately, my phone's in the other room, or I'd show you. But a particular friend of ours created a action figure, a Psycho Platter action figure, which then Doc Dacus went off immediately and said, "Where's the coffee cup?" I know, right? So maybe that can be the error action figure version, and then the corrected is that there's a Psycho Platter coffee mug. It'll be collectible. It'll be worth a nickel, a wooden nickel. But that's okay. That's how this works around here anyway. But yes, Jeff, with being a Funko Pop. See, at least you look good as a Funko Pop. Who was it that went off and said, Doug Fields, host of the Vinyl Grotto, said I looked a little bit like Greg Brady, which I guess I could see that, at least in the action figure. Oh, boy. Man, oh, man, oh, man. But once again, seriously, thank you for that. Um, to the 17 people here, if you care to, thumbs up, like and subscribe, and like I said, if you care to donate, you don't have to. It's not required, but the money does stay in the show. It goes for records, for Jukebox for Hell and other things, and of course coffee, which I'm almost done with the Folgers. By the way, I ended up getting this big ass can. I'm not kidding you, about this big, on clearance a couple months ago. And when I say that I go off and I get a stockpile of coffee, I mean it. There's usually 2 packs of filters. I sound like an addict, don't I? I sound like an addict. Oh well, I am a coffee addict. I can stop anytime. So, but I always have coffee, and then I even have a spare coffee maker if this one ever goes down. That is a fact. Oh, he's going to make one for. Oh, see, that's cool. That's cool. Is that like maybe? Oh, okay, make one for Joy too. That's nice. That's nice. See, there you go, Booth. Should have put an accessory. That's exactly what I was just done talking about, Doc. They should have the coffee cup in there. Anyways, um, so I want to mention before I forget here, we do have new subs. Yes, 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 yes. You know, we carry on here at the Psychosplatter Show. To all you 20 of you people, carry on. Okay. Some people said my channel was cooked. Fuck them, because that ain't cooked. We just do things a little differently around here, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, the new subs that show up anyway for this week, okay? Return to Vinyl, Risley Dale, Matt Record Collection, parentheses, aka Matt Basterson. If you watched Rachel, I remember seeing Matt in some of the comments. And the return of Stephen McElwine, which I remember him. Me and him have gone off and shitty chatted. Well, you know what though? Here's the thing. You may think so, but I miss my people. I do. I do. I like having people to bounce off of that I want up here. You know, that's what I'm saying. And why they had to go do what they did, I don't know. But then, why is your action figure the size of a Smurf? You know what? We'll have to consult Papa Smurf, on that one. One Smurfette, 99 male Smurfs. That woman had no peace and quiet. Simon, woo! But anyways, hey, Marty. But we're here, and that's what's important, right, ladies and gentlemen? So I didn't find too much this week, actually. Not for the lack of trying. All right. Hey, James, don't feel bad. I didn't alert anybody, unfortunately. This was just a spur of the moment thing, but I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. We're going to probably maybe play a Shannon clip in a little while here, too. The other day, I found a Japanese pressing a Virgin Killer with the uncensored. Oh, wow. Well, yeah. They release that in Japan that way? Yeesh. See, that's the thing, right? So the second pressing of the Virgin Killer album cover was the band photo, okay? Which, yeah, all right. Lame, right? But I'd rather see that than what the heck the other one was. Oh, boy. And then, I don't know why, but they did the same thing in 1984. Okay, what the hell was the name of that album? Was Still Loving You and Rock You Like a Hurricane. Love at First Sting. Love at First Sting. And when it had that, I didn't think it was racy, but the woman and the guy, and then the reissue was the band photo, which I heard that one is hard to find too, sort of. I like Scorps. I think I've got that one. I got Love at First Sting. I think I got Love Drive. And I showed you guys In Trance, Fly to the Rainbow. I like their 70s stuff too with Eula John Roth. Great stuff on that. But Savage Amusement's the last thing that I have on vinyl. No. Oh, okay, I get it. That'll teach me from going early on the comments. I have the one too. They always use the OB in the middle of the record. Well, that part's smart, I guess, right? See, I just don't understand why they did it. Why RCA thought that that was in 1970, 75, 70, no, 77, right? Why they thought that that was tasteful is beyond me. It doesn't make any sense. Hi, Trish. How you doing? Mike. And hi, Vonica. I prefer Whitesnake. It really puts me in the mood. I'll tell you something. One of the things I'm looking for, though, seriously, is the UK mix to of the album Slide It In, which maybe I'll play a track later, maybe. Yes, definitely. Oh, I love all that stuff. I'm glad I got to see him in '88. That's the only time I got to see the Scorpions was in '88. Did they finally retire, ladies and gentlemen, or are they going to go back out on the road again? I don't know. Too many, don't go off and say you're going to retire. Okay, just don't do it. Sure, it might get you a few extra dollars, but just go off in the sunset. Don't say shit. You can go off and say something like, ladies and gentlemen, we think this is our last show. Thank you. Take care. Good night. You could say that because you're being truthful. The same thing for the Blind Faith album. You're right. You're right. I had a copy of that. I think I actually had 2 copies, and then I ended up giving one to Donna Joe Cat Lady. I think I gave her one. I can't remember. I think I sold the other. Being that I'm not allowed to read, yeah, boy, yeah, okay. I was big into the Scorpions, the UFO in the 70s. I definitely love me some UFO. Yes, and we're going to talk about that too. See, I finally got a little bit smart. I've got videos set up in different links so that we can show some things from taxi driving. Will anyone notice? Exactly. All right. So, excuse me. In tribute, oh boy, we got a lot here, and I know I'm missing a couple. All right. So, the big one, Clem Burke, drummer of Blondie, also in a band called Checkered Past in the 80s with 2 of the Sex Pistols. I had that album at one point or another. Seek it out. You may actually care for it, or at least listen to it on YouTube. That's Checkered with a Q. Okay. The only album they ever made on EMI America. And then he also was a drummer for the Romantics on and off for the last, I don't know, 20, 30 years, actually. When Blondie wasn't playing, he'd be in the Romantics until Brad Elvis from the Elvis Brothers was the regular drummer. But then, I don't know. So he was in a lot of stuff. Clem was in a lot of things. So being that we've got, wouldn't that be like Clem Clemson, I think? Mayo is in tatters. I don't know. Why would that be? I have the 30th anniversary. Oh, nice. I know they were talking about only in France, Fox Guy. Only in France. Oui, monsieur. Bonjour, ape tit. Bone ape tit, excuse me. I fucked that up. Anyone looking for new music, Robert Berry has a band, Alliance. Excellent. Robert Berry from 3. And they've dropped an album. It's quite good. All right. Now this here, it's not exactly the best tribute to Clem, but I really do kind of dig this song. So let me set this up here. And no, I'm not showing the video because I'll get dinged for that. But see what you think about this, just for shits and giggles. Anyways, there's your taste. You guys know how I feel about trying to clean up shit. But yeah, that one, believe it or not, was on the Best of Blondie. It was a 2 disc edition, and that was like the last song was that. Now get this, that was a hit in the UK. I don't remember where it charted, but I do remember. This is right. This is absolutely right. First rap rock tune. It was. I don't mind it. I always liked it. Yeah. Someone really has too much time on their hands. No, that's Styx, sir. Anyways, so we get from Glenn Burke. Like I said, he was a damn good drummer. Shit. 70 years old. Then we go to somebody else that most of us would have maybe grown up watching reruns in childhood. Mr. Jay North, who was mainly known from 1959 to 1963 as Dennis the Menace. And I don't understand all this Chris Hill bit, but whatever. But I thought I'd show you something a little bit here. It's a little different. Let me set this up here. Oh boy. You guys are going to go, oh, geez. I know you will. It's only a minute and a half.
It's time once again for What Are They Doing Now? With NNTN correspondent Frosty Kittleman.
The year was 1959 when Dennis the Menace hit the airwaves with young and precocious Jay North in the title role. 4 years later, Dennis the Menace stopped production, only to be seen since in reruns. And what about Jay North? What is he doing now? We caught up with Jay North, now 36 years old, walking Hollywood Boulevard, the city that made him famous. We talked with Jay in an exclusive, heartfelt one-on-one interview about the joys of being a child star and growing up in Hollywood.
Mr. North, I bet you carry with you a lot of fond memories.
They
Oh,
wouldn't
no.
hire me after Dennis. I've been burned once too often. Now it's their turn.
Mr. North!
Still mischievous as ever, Jay North does feel a little bitter towards the Hollywood system that forgot about him.
Why don't you come on up, Dusty?
Illusion with showbiz.
Uh-oh.
Jay is setting his sights on new.
Anyways, you get the drift. Can't show anything anymore. I did hear about Gang of Four dying. I just can't remember when it was, and I'm an idiot because I caught a blurb of that. I think I saw that today, that blurb. Someone else does too. I'll remember in a minute. So that's Jay North. Another one that went. I really dug this guy. I got to have a one-on-one conversation with him briefly, very briefly. 5-6 years ago. But yeah. But Ionis, he was Greek. And I'm gonna take my little camera here and I'm gonna take this off so I can try to show you guys some of his work. So this is one of the Uriah Heep poster. Okay, he used to really do the album covers and the posters. And here, of course, is another one that he did right next to the Nectar. But Ionis did both of these. And he did, oh, geez, was it 2010? Maybe it was 2010 I talked to him. He autographed this and the Uriah Heep one, which that one was a numbered one. It's number 81 of 300. But he died. He passed away either last night or this morning. And he did lots and lots of album covers. Seriously, I would say he was more of a, I mean, we all know who Roger Dean is. I would say Ionis had a different way of doing things, but I would put him up there with Roger Dean and maybe one or two more. But he passed away too. Larry Holly passed away, Buddy Holly's brother, age 96. When how's it going, Jim? Tyler, like I said, if you got time, Dusty, Tyler, pop on up if you want. I'm gonna be on for maybe about, I don't know, 60 to 90 minutes. That's what we like to do around here. I try not to make them too much longer. But so he passed away at age 96. He was the last one. Sorry, I froze for some second over there. It's been kind of weird, I should tell you, the last week around here with the storms and such. And we didn't get no tornadoes, thank God, but we did get high winds and things caught in lines and stuff. Oh, that's right. Dave Allen. Yeah. He's gone too. Jeez. Boy, oh boy, this has been a week. And then lastly, JT Carter. Now, JT Carter, it's okay if you don't. Yeah, Dave Allen from the Gang of Four. Thank you. If I knew that, I would have set up some Gang of Four. Remember to please and thank you to the 33 people here. Al Barilli, guitarist of Boston, Hardcore Legends, SSD Control. Oh, geez. How many does that make? That's like 7 or 8 in the last week. Yeah, that'd be great, Dusty. Thank you. Wow. So we're going to go really old school with this one. But JT Carter, who was the last surviving member of the Crests. And if you know who the Crests are, they're the big one they did was 16 Candles. Yeah, I can't sing. Never said I could sing. But I thought at least I would play something. This one is called The Angels Listen. There you go. Anyways, like I said, JT Carter, last original member of the Crests, passed away this week. Also, sounds like we've got about close to 10 different deaths. Good Lord. And then another interesting thing happened. All good here. Brian says, hope you're well. At the office, or I'd come hang. I understand on that, but thanks for coming on here. Brian's our jewel of the Orient, ladies and gentlemen. Marty says, so many multiracial acts back then. Now, not so much. Yeah, that sure seems that way, don't it? But this next bit here, well, this guy, yeah, I was just going to say, here we go. We'll put your comment up here. Did you see Pete Best officially retired from performing in public appearances earlier this week? That's right. So no more concerts, no more Beatle conventions. Now, let's see. So I'll show you. So I got that. That's my, hang on. That's my my only signed Pete Best photo. And you can get one too, by the way. Just go to PeteBest.com. And it's reasonably priced, actually. I want to say $30, I think it was. I don't know if it's going to be more now. I mean, I got this one a couple of years ago, but still, well, he was supposed to go to a con in August, and he retracted that. He actually announced that he was sorry about that. See, now that's cool that you managed to get that. So let's go. And I got to tell you, I collect, no surprise here that I'm a Beatles fan too, even though the Monkees are my favorite thing. Well, he doesn't really have to do anything else now. I mean, let's face it. He's been, well, what was it? 60, right? Late 60, early 61 is when he joined the Beatles. It was 60. I mean, let's face it, you're talking 65 years of either being in the Beatles or being in the shadow of the Beatles and whatever. But I think truthfully, as long as he didn't spend the anthology and the BBC money, the Beatles Live at the Beeb, a paint dry. Well, I guess you could do that, I suppose. 59 to 62. Yes, my head hurts. Sorry. I got a shipment of CDs today, both old and new stuff. Before I show it, I only ended up finding one musical find this week. Found it for $1 at the Goodwill. I hit the color. Okay. Very rare for me to hit the color, if you know what I'm talking about with the Goodwill bits. Yeah, paint dries, and so will the driveway. Yes. But I did find a book from 2013. It's a soft cover. China Berry Sidewalks by Rodney Crowell. Now, I know you're like, well, why the hell did you get that? And this was a library book, I think. Well, but nobody ever checked it out. Nobody ever checked it out. And, but this is the reason why I got it. Autographed. Yes. So for $1, a signed Rodney Crowell. You just never know when you're going to find musically related items, especially autographs. I'm a big autograph collector too. So exactly. Yeah, you can drive Billy J. Kramer to the best. Oh boy. Anywho, so this one here I'm going to play. No, it's not Beatles, but I did have this 45 in my collection. My original Beatles collection. I missed that Beatles collection. I started like in around 78, 79, collected Beatle records. And when the record store Full Circle opened up, I would say probably that first collection lasted me from 79 to about 89, 10 years, because I ended up having to sell the whole thing for diapers and formula and stuff like that for my first kid. It's true. So, but this was the 45 that I had. And I even had the picture sleeve too for this. I really, really did. Pardon me a second. But, of course, I'm not entirely sure why he decided to cover this, but I know he used to do it at the Cavern. Let's just listen to this for a little bit. See what you think. It won't. Obviously, it's not going to sound the same. How about them apples? We have ourselves Miss Tyler. Yes, how are you, sir?
Doing good.
How is it going? It's going well?
Yeah. Nothing exciting. Yeah, he did the Pete Best Band stuff. It's actually kind of interesting. Like nobody really talks about it, but like it's good, like Mercy Beat stuff.
Nice. I've got, oh my God, what's the CD I have? I and I feel ashamed because if I would have maybe tried to dig through my boxes, I would have shown it. But I picked it up for like $3 at the record store here in town, and it was a compilation of that said stuff from 65 to 68.
I have it too. It's orange, right?
What was that?
The covers, it's like an orange background.
I think so.
Yeah, I have that too. I think it's called Beyond the Beatles. Yeah, there's some great stuff on that.
Yeah, it really pleasantly surprised me, to tell you the honest truth.
Have you ever listened to Discograffiti, the podcast?
Discograffiti?
Yeah, he's like a guy who it's kind of like more of like a professional thing, but he does interviews and he goes through like the whole discographies of like all kinds of artists. He had an interview with Pete, but he ran out of time before he asked him about like the Pete Best Band stuff. And I was really looking forward to it. I was kind of bummed,
Wow.
Yeah. Because like it's different because when people interview Pete, it's always for the same thing over and over and over again. And this was the one guy who was going to like ask questions that I was interested in hearing. You know, like, okay, well, what happened next? Nobody talks about that. You know.
Exactly. And I heard a story, and I'm not sure how true this is because I think Pete's the one that brought this up. But like I said, the last time, at least in America, there was a 45 released on Capitol. It was on a Capitol Swirl label for 68. But shortly after that release, which went nowhere, Pete was contemplating by 68, 69, and I'm going, dude, you know, I mean, I could not even begin to imagine what was in his head as to, you know, thinking that he was nothing when in reality, you know, it's just, you know, okay, fine. You know, he has to, I'm kind of sick of people going off and tagging on that tag all these years. You know, formerly of the Beatles, he's a has-been. No,
sure.
You know, he always was in Beatles fans, was always a part of them, even though it was just an early part. And truthfully, okay, and I mean, you can say what you want, I guess, about what the Beatles individually went off and felt about him. Okay, from what I heard, out of the decades later, he only ever bumped into one of them once, and it was like for 2 seconds, and then they tried to like disappear somewhere else. You know, like they didn't want to. They just knew it was a very uncomfortable situation.
Well, I heard that there was like once or twice where they were on the same bill as him. He was his band was Lee Curtis and the All Stars,
right?
And like they were going up as like as the Beatles were coming off, you know, and that was about it. There was a rumor going around that Paul had called him about the anthology stuff, but Pete said, no, it wasn't Paul. It was someone else.
See, and that's the thing, though. Okay, that's exactly what I was just going to bring up. I was going to recommend it if you've never heard it because we like a lot of the same stuff, and I love that CD.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think Pete worked at a bakery after the Beatles. That's right. He did at one point.
After he stopped touring in 68, he worked for the government, the British government, until he started performing again in the 80s. And, well, the rest of it, you know. So.
But yeah, I mean, but definitely. But that's the thing, though, right? So they I don't know if it was just when the anthology was getting made, was it more, let's bury the hatchet after 30 something years of all this, or was it, look, it's easier to get rights clearances?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Needless
Go ahead, you first.
No, go ahead.
I can't imagine. I mean, if I were one of the surviving ones, other than Ringo doesn't count. I feel guilty about it. I wouldn't want to talk to him. Not because I have any personal beef with, like, God, how can I face this guy after what I did to him? You know what I mean? Not saying it's right, but I think that they included that stuff because if they didn't, and people knew that the Decca tapes existed at that point. They've been bootlegged a lot. Did you hear there was another story where somebody found a copy of like the master reel recently of the Decca tapes?
Yes, but I mean, in fact, what was it? A couple episodes ago, I showed a news clip from Vancouver, the record store, and he played a little bit of it. But I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, what exactly really does this dude have? And I love how he goes off and he goes, if Paul McCartney will come here, he goes, I'll give it to him for nothing or something. And I'm like, he probably already has it for one.
He probably does, but then again, you give it to Paul, he'll probably just lock it in the vault like he's done with other stuff. Like,
yeah.
Because I was watching a thing with Oh God, the guy who did the Get Back, not James Cameron.
Peter
Cooper
Jackson.
Johnson. And they were talking about how somebody had a tape from the cavern with Pete on it, and Paul
Ooh.
bought it at auction, and he just locked it up.
What the hell?
Yeah.
See, and yeah, okay. There. See, I didn't even know that story. There's an example right there. Why the hell they're locking this shit up? Just like, and I brought this up probably on and off for a year, that an Apple hurried up, snapped up, and bought the 64 Hong Kong tape with Jimmy Nickel.
Oh, yeah, true.
And I am just like, what the hell? I want to hear it. I want to hear both of those things now. But it's like there's still all this stuff out there. And it's just like, okay, come on, it's we're due for a new set of reissues for Anthology. And they could go off and either do one of two things. They could either do like what Beatles 67 to 70, where they stuck a couple, like 7 or 8 extra songs, and they slapped Now and Then on there, which I found it used for $10. So I went and pulled the trigger and got that. And it still sounds out of place being at the end there, but I'm like, whatever, I get it. You guys were trying to make money, cash grab, if you will. But it was still nice to hear, even if it's all cobbled together. But I think, truthfully, that there is enough for a 4th volume. There is so much stuff there. I heard something, I don't know if you tripped on this like I did, but the Beatles 63 stuff, when in the UK, when they did the dump, okay, so they could extend the copyright. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you mean like the US albums that they just reissued?
No. So this was like bootleg stuff that they dumped so that they could extend the copyright.
Okay.
In UK, it's different, I guess. Okay. Well, I heard a Lennon demo I never heard before called "I'm in Love." I'm going from 63. I'm going, wait a minute. It was only a minute and a half, maybe almost 2 minutes. I'm going, where the hell have I never heard this from? And I'm a Beatle guy, and I've never heard this. So there's stuff that just keeps coming out.
And there's still like forever. There's going to be things we'll never get. Like we're never going to get Carnival of Light. Everyone talks about that.
See, James has got a point here. The funny thing about that tape, they just found there is white splice tape between each of the songs, so I think it's a real copy.
Oh, it's still in mono though. That was something they were talking about. How it wasn't like stereo or anything. They say it's like significantly clearer, but
it sounds good
from what they played. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a boot called Anthology Plus. That's great. I think I've heard about that, but I don't know about the material. There was, God, what was it? I came across, it came across in my feed on Facebook. It was this new thing, a limited edition, 20 CDs, came with a 64-page book, $189. And for the life of me, I can't remember what's all on that thing. But but the Decca tapes, okay, why the hell have they not been legitimately released? You're talking over 60 years now. I mean, come on. It can't be that hard to do. Let's have a nice version of the whole thing. Yes, I know we got some of it on Anthology. I get it. Let's put out all the rest of it. All right.
Again, I really think they don't want to deal with Pete Best or the Best family for that matter. I'm not making excuses for them.
No, I know.
They're just. It'll be some bullshit like, oh, well, then you don't want too much money, and then I mean, you fucking owe him. You know what I mean? Sorry, I don't mean to curse on your street.
No. You're right though. Fred's got a good point, but here's where I'm going to throw one name at you, Fred. Jimi Hendrix. Enough said. Because only until, what was it? I think it was Janie, I don't know, the sister, finally admitted that they've gotten to the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the studio stuff. And that was about 2 or 3 years ago. She admitted that. That's why you've only been seeing live stuff. And I am just like going, well, at least you admitted it. But still, you're talking about a man who's been dead. In September, it'll be 55 years. And there was still all this product that still keeps coming out. So
another one that seems really it's incredible how prolific he and the group was is the fact that there's still like Pete Ham and Ivy's stuff coming out.
Yes,
another one. Did you see that?
There's going to be a new Pete Ham acoustic, is
Yep.
what I'm told.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, I'm sorry. I cannot believe that finally, I got this damn thing. Finally.
Nice. It's so good though.
Yeah. Mhm.
Had to have been worth it. It's really good.
Well, you see, okay. I knew that I wasn't the surprise that I was going to get from getting that release is a better sounding material, because I've got from 2000. I've got the Snapper records.
Yeah. No, hold on. Is that the one with the bonus demos, or is that just the album?
So you've got here
Lucky.
disc. I'm not going to repeat everything, but disc 1, of course, is obviously the head first album. Disc 2, demos and bonus tracks. Time Is Mine, Smoking Gun, Old Fashioned Notions, Nothing to Show. You Ask Yourself Why, Keep Your Country Tidy, To Say Goodbye, Queen of Darkness, I Can't Believe In, Thanks to You All, and the demo to Lay Me Down, which I love. I love that song. But yes, I cannot believe I found that at a vintage stock for $6 years ago. And I'm like, it's gone. I said, I've been looking for this damn thing forever. The only thing, I didn't know that. But then again, I never got to listen to all the Lost Lennon tapes. I did hear some of them when they were originally made. But the only one I'm missing, CD and vinyl, is the Badfinger Live 74, the Cleveland Agora, the one that Rykodisc put out in the mid-90s, which caused a little bit of controversy because...
not the one where they dubbed the drums in? I have that CD.
Yeah. That's what Joey got in a bit of trouble for that CD. I'll tell you that right now. It's like, oops.
When I first listened to it, I don't think that it really stuck out to me. And then somebody either said something or I read a comment, and it's like I can't listen to it ever again. Like it just.
I know, but I'm just a weirdo collector. I mean, that's like the last thing in the Badfinger.
Yeah.
But other than that, I need to find the Ivy's album now. They have the UK album and the 45 for maybe tomorrow. Where did he go? Yes. Hopefully he's coming back. I don't know what that was. This Beatles biopic that's coming out looks horrendous. It makes me nervous. I'll tell you that right now. It really makes me nervous. And I've had some Yellow Dog stuff. Okay. He's coming back.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I meant to just hit the camera off and mic off for a sec, but
hang on a second here. Let me get rid of this and show. Oh, see, there you go. That's what. Yeah, that's on my little want list. Still,
it's a bootleg though. It's like one channel, so it doesn't sound great. But I mean, to have something,
Definitely. And so the thing is, the only other stuff that didn't get put out, and I'll have to like in the next show or two, I'll read it verbatim from the book. I do have the book Without You.
Ooh.
I think that's what it was. Yeah, Dan. Thank you. It was given to me many years ago. I've had this close to 25 years, this copy. And I don't have the CD that came with it. He kept it, but he gave me a burned copy. So whatever was on on the extra for that. I wish I could get a copy of that, but oh boy, trying to get that thing is big bucks. But
it's expensive, and he's actually since passed the.
Yeah, I heard that. I think, what was it say? The last project he worked on was either Headfirst or that Ivy's anthology. It was one or the other.
Well, I remember, God, years and years ago, that he had done a mix down of 2 of the tracks from Headfirst. This had to have been like 2014. I remember because I did I took a graphic design class, and I made like a Badfinger newsletter, and I wrote a little bit about it. It was just for a school project, but
sure,
God, that was forever. That was 10 plus years ago.
See, new Jimmy Box came out last year. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I'm gonna 2 live Beatle recordings from '63 just came out on Boot. Now I'm gonna get this wrong. I know I'm going to. Bournemouth. That he's talking about. Bournemouth is one of them. I'm screwing the name up. I know I am, from '63, and I've heard some of it, and that's actually pretty good. And then of course you got the Stowe Hall show, which is the one that they did for the whatever a UK version of a high school is. And it sounds really nice. You can hear that on YouTube, and it's nice and clean. And I was really happy. And they, they need to do something with this. I'm surprised Apple didn't go off and put a cease and desist on him. But at least as of 7 or 10 days ago, it was still up, that Stowe show. So it's really, really nice. And it's nice to hear, because even though some people were applauding, it wasn't like with the girls.
And that's the problem with a lot of them, is just like it's just so loud.
Yes.
There's one I want to get. It got an official release, but I think it's been out of print forever. It's that like Live in Japan, which has like the Beatles logo with the star in the background. Yeah, because I've seen clips of it, but like I think you got like a Japanese like laser disc or something. I have a player. It's just good luck finding a copy,
Right. Man, oh man. What was it? I bought this years and years ago, and I got the Let It Be movie. This was all DVD-R burned,
Uh-huh.
The Let It Be movie, the Shea Stadium, but it was Japan Apple when they put it on Laserdisc, which I didn't even know they did in the 90s, but it was really clean. And then bits of Japan tour, bits.
What's funny? I got the Let It Be Laserdisc. I got it for like $50, which is a steal. But
Damn.
Then I remember within like a month or two, or no, it might have been 6 months or a year. I don't know. Time, I can't keep track of it. But not long after that, it's like, hey, we're putting Let It Be on Disney Plus. And it's just like, well, now this thing's worthless.
Well, that's the problem, though. It really isn't, because even though Get Back came out and did that thing, it's it's different. Yeah. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Bournemouth. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know Robert Fripp was born from. Ladies and gentlemen, I haven't had this guy on in a while, and I'm glad he's here. I said I'm glad he's here. How you doing, Mason?
I'm doing pretty good, Paul. How are you doing?
Volumes. Well, we're trying to have ourselves some fun here. Geez, 13 volumes. The Beatles live at Budokan in '66 came out on Laserdisc. That's I didn't get the whole damn show. I got like portions. Yeah. Each CD has about 5 complete shows. Oh, nice. I would love to have a set like that, or at least a burn set, because like I said, I remember listening to it. It was really hard to catch that Lost Lennon tapes. I almost very little advance notice in Chicagoland. It was I think it was WXRT was the one that played it. It was XRT or it was the Loop. It was one or the other, and they played the Lost Lennon tapes. Mason Wu, Beatles Japan '66 is a great watch, definitely. I was at a Beatle Fest and I met the Vigatone guys. Oh, really? And I traded my copy of Let It Be on Laserdisc for the Great Dane BBC box set. Yeah, I know they got the live 1 and live 2. I think that's almost all of it. Although somebody said something about that they might have found 2 or 3 more since that live 2 set. I still need to get live 2 on CD. I don't have that one. That one seemed to be a little bit more difficult to
You know
find.
what,
I've got the first one.
And this is overdue as with me being a Beatles fan. Yes, sometimes people forget that I'm also a Beatles fan. But you know what? This is long overdue. I need to get Please Please Me all the way through Revolver on CD.
There.
I only have, I have the US albums box set,
Mhm.
and then I have the 09 remasters, the digipacks of Pepper all the way through Let It Be.
Mhm.
But
That's cool.
there's something weird about those US albums. Like, I can't enjoy the sound quality of them unless I play the mono versions.
Right.
Because where they decide to put the audio into what channels, it's so weird. And then you have people that are like, well, they're using the same ones as those 09 remasters. I'm like, I don't think they are, because I
He
play them back
knows.
to back and compare them, and I'm like, there's definitely something off.
Sorry. I have to pull this for a second here. And he's like, Paul, have you ever told Mason what 45 you're taking a bite out of is? Yes, I have. I have.
Fuck you for that, Paul.
It was too wrecked. I couldn't save it.
I don't know. The disco of Here Comes the Night would be a better choice. Hey, that'd be a good episode of Jukebox from Hell. Have you ever tried doing a Jukebox from Hell of just one individual song that is so bad?
That's a good. Okay. Well, Mason, you know what?
Because there's the radio edit of that one, right? And then there's the full version. Both are equally as painful to listen to.
Isn't there like a version of Here Comes the Night on LA Light?
Yes, that's what we're talking about. They redid that fantastic song off Wild Honey and as a disco number and threw it on LA.
Right, but then there's like an extended like single mix, right? Like a 12-inch single.
From what I know, the single mix is actually shorter than what's on LA, but there probably is a version out there that's longer than both.
It joke's on you. It's probably like we could call it the Helter Skelter cut of like 27 minutes.
And you know what? I'm hot off the press with this. So this is how you can improve that album. 1, take that disco thing off completely and replace it with, It's a Beautiful Day was recorded around that time. That would have been a better song for that album for sure. Even California Feelin' was finished by that point. So there's stuff that they could pull from that could be better choices for that album for sure.
I'm trying to think. That was what, 79? When was Bruce Johnson's solo album? Because like it had an
it was in 77.
What? 77? Because that had an obnoxious like disco thing on it too, right? Yeah, okay. It's been a while since I've done train for a bit. Oh. Well, I'm your host now. Anyway. No. Oh no.
Where'd he go?
Well, I was saying how Bruce Johnson's solo album also has an obnoxious disco track on it. I'm probably going to pull it off his shelf. I'm like, no, I know it's there. You're good.
I was going to say, was that Disney Girls? That
Well,
you
yeah,
went
no.
off and did it? Oh.
Yeah. The version of Disney Girls on it is great, but there's another song on it, like, God, it's been so long. Is it Pipeline or something like that? But it's an obnoxious disco track, like Here Comes the Night, too.
Oh, boy. UK Please Please Me has instruments and vocals on separate channels. Is that the problem you have with the tracks, Mason? Well, wait, did he see this already, or just ask? Mason. That's the way those songs were released. I would not mind getting UK presses of those Beatles albums. And as far as for Capitol Beach Boys stuff, Wild Honey is actually one of my favorites. And when they did the reissue with the extra tracks, I went and grabbed that like the week it came out, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Oh, that what was it? The 68, where like the cover was inside the numbers.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a bunch of those. I haven't. God, I haven't kept up with that because the last thing I remember that they did was they did a box set for Holland a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've really done much since then.
I felt bad because I think there was a 2 or 3 CD set that they came out with. Yeah. And it was, God, what the hell was it? Was it Surfs Up Holland? Surfs Up in Holland, I want to say. Uh-huh. And I know where I can get it. It's just I probably should just drag my ass and go get it, But that's not the top of my list.
Right, well, the thing too is like the next thing on the list is more stuff from Love You, and it's just like I'm good. I don't need any more.
So Mason, loser list says UK Please Me has instruments and vocals on separate channels. Is that the problem you have with the tracks, Mason? That's the way those songs were released.
To respond to that question, and sorry I disappeared there for a moment there.
That's okay.
The problem I have with the US albums box set is the stereo remasters they have on those. Like when I play them in when I ever try to play them in my car, because Apple Music does have the streaming counterpart of that, which I thought was pretty cool. But when I try to play them in my car, the stereo ones, for example, it's not in the drivers and passenger door speakers. It's in the dashboard of all things. I'm hearing nothing side to side, and it's all just frontwards, and I'm like, what in the hell?
I don't know.
I don't get that issue at all with the with the regular 2009.
Yo, I love Kraftwerk.
But what did I miss out on
that's
conversation when I had to leave? Because I come back and y'all are talking about other Beach Boys stuff.
Yeah. Well, we were basically.
We hard detoured because bro's talking about Kraftwerk. Dude, I went and saw them at the beginning of March. They were playing in Pittsburgh. It was amazing.
I should have.
Beach Boys Live? I'm confused.
I should have probably went.
Oh, we're talking about a different
last year.
Okay.
Well, here we go. Yeah. Mason went to get his Bruce Johnson anthology.
You know what?
There probably is one.
Paul, I'm going to tell you something. I'm arguably the biggest Beach Boys fan on YouTube.
I know you are.
You got to have a chat with a guy named Giggins.
I should. I really should, because I watch his content and I dig what he posts for sure.
Yeah.
But that being said, I have never heard Bruce Johnston's solo album going public. It just never seemed interesting for me to check out.
It's not.
But if you really want to hear a good, a fantastic solo Beach Boys album from 1977, you guys catch my drift here? You guys catch my drift here? Pacific Ocean Blue, anyone?
Yeah, of course.
I love that album.
Great record.
I need to get that.
I mean,
did you
Carl's two albums from the early '80s were pretty good.
Those didn't really catch me as much. I mean, they're not bad. They just weren't exciting to me.
Well, did Looking Back with Love catch you enough?
No. We don't have to talk about that.
What we should address though is that why does it make any sense that this thing is available for streaming on all platforms as of the past couple of years, right? But something equally as bad, known as Summer in Paradise, they rightfully want to delete that from existence.
Well, Yeah, see, there was a thing with that too. Like, that's out, and so is Still Cruising. Like, you can justify Still Cruising because of Kokomo. Like, I know that's probably blasphemy. People hate Kokomo, but I mean, like, you could.
Well,
'Cause that was
it doesn't
older
make any
music.
sense why that album should be deleted because it does have a number one hit on it, literally.
Yeah, right, but it is. And also, too, like, I wonder, I don't know the specifics, but with Summer in Paradise, they were on, like, a different label, and it was so
They
poor. And I
were,
think
and rumor has it that that the release of the album bankrupted that label.
that's where I was getting at. Yeah. So, like, then you got to dig up the people who own the rights to it, and it's just, yeah.
Well, interestingly, one song from that album, as of last year or the year before, is available on streaming services yet again
Oh,
in streaming
God.
quality, and that's the one that was on the Baywatch soundtrack.
I was going to say, is it Summer of Love?
Yes. So
Yep.
I don't know how they were able to dig that one up, but like of all things from that album that I would want to play on Spotify, that's not on my list. I don't know. Strange Things Happen, maybe the best song on the album.
Yeah, I don't know.
Remember,
thing,
ladies
like-
and gentlemen, episode 1, Jukebox from Hell. That's where I started the whole Jukebox from Hell series with Summer in Paradise for the Beach Boys.
But
You know-
Paul, you only covered the American release. There's a British release that literally
You're right.
it's made up of it's made up of variants of the songs that are like edited.
Oh,
or
God,
like
there's
completely
more?
re-recorded altogether.
Yes, there is more.
No, dude. Okay, so like I remember when I was reading the wiki. You know, there's that meme of Spider-Man in the hospital bed, and it's like that post gave me cancer. That was me reading. Is like, well, they used a primitive version of Apple Pro Tools to do Summer in Paradise. I'm like, this is giving me radiation poisoning. I am dying. Like,
I think one of the most ear-jarring moments on that album, just like something that's not pleasant to my ears, is why do the drums on Slow Summer Dancing sound so artificial?
Mm.
I'll be
Obviously,
real with
because
you,
they are, but still, it's like, wow, you're not even trying to hide it. It sounds like these were recorded in a freaking cave.
I'll be real. Like, I've listened through the whole thing, but I don't think I've listened to it well enough to know every track. Like, I know Summer of Love because like I like telling people about that because it's so jarring just to see their
Yeah,
reaction.
you
to
know
it.
what's jarring? You know what's even more jarring? The music video, and more
Oh,
jarring
yeah,
than
sure.
that. One,
Yeah.
Mike Love is totally creepy in that music video,
Love
and
it.
Brian Wilson is looking like he's depressed and doesn't want to be there.
Wasn't that him a lot in those years? Seriously?
Wasn't that him most of the time? I mean, what?
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, back to your cancer thing there, right? The kill shot would have been the whole Shags album right after that. That would have done you in.
Yeah.
that is garbage. That's hot garbage right there.
Yeah, right. Like I oh my god! And with that one too, it's like, well, they wrote it that way on purpose, so that makes it good. No, it doesn't.
And truthfully, I think Kurt Cobain and Frank Zappa had their tongue in cheek when they're like, "Oh well, this band is." I'm like, "Bullshit! You guys are pulling everyone's leg."
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Paul,
Or that, or like freaking Trout Mask Replica. I don't get it. It just doesn't work.
I haven't really been keeping up with Jukebox from Hell
I'm
lately,
gonna have to
so
listen to that.
I couldn't tell you if Paul has done any more Jukebox from Hills on Beach Boys related stuff.
Well, there's
No,
really
not yet.
none of other than that.
Well, then
one.
let me offer you a good contender.
Wait. I'm gonna say it. Stars and Stripes.
Close.
Ooh,
Most-
okay.
You probably don't know of this one because it's technically not credited as the Beach Boys, but
Oh.
there's enough of them there that you could say, yeah, this is technically the group's final album before That's Why God Made the Radio.
No, come on.
Backstory. Carl Wilson was battling cancer in 97, so he was like, nah, I'm not doing this. Brian was like, oh, I'm going to go record Imagination. Far better album, by the way.
Yeah.
And who knows what Al was doing. They get David Marks back in the band. Okay, that's cool. Mike
No, I
Bruce and
just-
David Marks come together with
Yes.
some involvement from Dean Torrance here and there, and they put together this Mike Love, Bruce Johnston, and David Marks of the Beach
Oh,
Boys.
is it the
Salute
NASCAR thing? Yeah.
NASCAR thing.
What?
That is the worst.
Oh,
It's those three guys from the Beach Boys in 1998, very cheaply. Like it sounds like it was recorded in an afternoon, basically.
Oh no.
Go in, re-record some of their hits from the 60s, and then just put it out there.
yeah. Because like I remember listening to the intro to it. They do like an instrumental something of. Was it Good Vibrations? And it's like, hi, Mike Love of the Beach Boys here. And they're like talking, and it's like, someone love NASCAR. Dude, it's so bad. That's, you know what? Mason's right, Paul. You should get that and do an episode on it. It's horrible.
And it's called what again?
Forget trying to buy a physical copy of it. Don't waste your time with that. Just
Smart.
listen to it on YouTube. And
I'll
get your
have to
reaction.
listen to it on YouTube because I'm a cheap bastard. If I can't, why do you think that I alternate between vinyl and CD when I'm doing Jukebox from Hell's? It's either A, they never put it on vinyl, or B, like for example with the
they never put
Shags,
it
I
on
wasn't gonna spend $40 on Philosophy of the World when I
Hey, do you
found
want
for
to know
$1 at
something else,
Goodwill.
Paul? Do you want
Yeah,
to know
what's-
something else?
And that,
This release was apparently worthy of not only having a CD and cassette release, but the cassette having a different intro, a custom intro for the cassette.
Oh,
boy.
God.
Why does this album sound like? Do you remember seeing across? You're looking around like the early '80s albums that only came out at Radio Shack. Why does this sound like it's one of those Radio Shack albums?
It's something to
Mhm.
it was something to promote like 76 or whatever.
By the way, the Association album from that Radio Shack label is horrible. It
Well,
is
is that
so fucking
Is that the one
horrible.
with multiple artists on it? The white one?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to believe in my mind that there could be anything bad from the Association.
I know. I love the
They brought us
Association.
such great songs in the 60s. I mean,
Yeah, I
Cherish,
mean, like of their
Whiskey,
main albums, like at worst, the
Along
last
Comes Mary. I
Sorry.
mean, like, etc. But
at worst, the last two are just kind of mid. Like the last album has a great cover of "Darling Be Home Soon" if you've never heard it, but yeah, those. But from like the first album through, I think it's a self-titled one with like Stonehenge on the Moon. Like
Right.
all of those are great.
Oh yeah. I came across a copy of the Columbia album, the only album they did for Columbia Records back in '72,
Yeah,
just
that's
before
what-
Brian died.
Right, that's the Waterbeds in Trinidad. That was
Yep.
the one I was talking about that had "Darling Be Home Soon" on it.
Yeah, not only that, if I remember correctly, there was a Jimmy Webb song they covered, but for the life of me, I can't remember what the hell the damn song is.
Okay, so it's not on that one. It's on the
Oh.
previous album. It's P.F. Sloan.
I love P.F. Sloan. That's so. I can thank Ronnie Dark from Wax Museum with Ronnie Dark. He played P.F. Sloan, and I'm like, who the hell is this? Because I like this, and it was like he's like, it's the Association off the album "Stop the Motor." I'm going.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. I have never found a copy of "Stop the Motor" yet, just because I want that damn song.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah,
you know,
the actual P.F. Sloan is cool too. By the way,
I can even, I'll defend '80s Association with one thing, and this is unpopular opinion, but I'm going to say it anyways. That Rock and Roll Again thing that Mike Love and Dean Torrance did in the '80s, where they also had a bunch of other featured artists on it doing their own thing. The Association's cover of "Walk Away Renee," it's not bad.
I didn't even know about that.
It's not the worst thing you can listen to.
Cool.
I'm setting up something here.
And
Oh,
also, Paul Revere and the Raiders, they do a cover of 96 Tears. Really freaking good, actually.
Huh.
see, that's one I don't. Later stuff, like I don't really know it too well.
How about we'll
Oh, we're
play a
playing
little of
music
this.
now. Let's get ready
Yeah.
to get taken down.
Anyways, here's your taste. Don't sing this song. Good old PF Sloan. So yeah, eventually I'll find a copy of Stop the Motor. I'm a big Paul Revere and the Raiders fan too. Actually, two things about Paul Revere and the Raiders. Number one, I showed, I don't know if I still have it out here. Did I put it back in the other room? When I picked up those Paul Revere and the Raiders albums recently, yeah, I think I stuck it in the other room. Damn it. But there's a cover that they're sitting in a outside, like a wraparound porch of a mansion.
Oh yeah, Revolution.
Okay, thank you. So my buddy Doug knows where that's exactly at. So me and him are going to be making a road trip sometime soon here
to recreate the cover.
Yes, and we'll ask permission to see if we could take, but we'll take both of the cover, and then we'll have the house behind us.
Oh, nice.
For that, which would be really nice. And then secondly, so when July comes, what better thing to do in July but have Christmas in July, right? Christmas in July. Everybody, I don't know whoever came up with that shit, but in the Jukebox from Hell category, we're going to have a couple Christmas albums that are going to get played in the Jukebox from Hell. And believe it or not, Paul Revere and the Raiders will be one of those due to what happened. So just, yeah, that we're talking 68, 69 Raiders. Yeah.
Not 1983?
Not 1983. Mount Vernon and Fairway, a fairy tale.
That is both, okay. That is both brilliant and also confusing at the same time. It's like,
you know what that is, right?
Brian Wilson, same guy, made Pet Sounds, would have made Smile if he had completed it in 67, and it's between 67 and 73 off and on did some little contributions to those albums that came out in that period. But the fairy tale thing, on the one hand, it's great that he's actually excited about doing something under the Beach Boys name again in that way. On the other hand, writing a fairy tale and putting it on the back of a record.
It
wasn't even on the back of a record. It got rejected from the record because it was too long, so they released it as a bonus EP.
Thank you. That's what I was going to ask you, because I remember it was on Holland, right? It was the bonus record.
Uh-huh.
I wish I knew the flip of that, PF Sloan. I don't know.
It's the kind of thing that you know you want to play maybe once or twice and then just never again. It's like, don't bother. I mean, like, you know, and then there's some great songs off Holland too. I mean, Sail on Sailor, about his biggest contribution to the regular album.
I love that song.
And then in between, like, you know, you got some other stuff on there too, you know.
I think
the California Saga is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All three parts of that.
I get that, like, because after that, they really, like, the labels really wanted to bring Brian back in. And he just wasn't ready yet, you know?
Yeah, we have documentational proof of that in 15 Big Ones.
Yeah, well, I was getting there. That, because, like, you know, all right, Brian, let's do another Pet Sounds. He's like, let's just play Shortening Bread over and over again for 45 minutes.
Oh my God!
So
I think it was more of a thing where they were rushing him through the whole process.
Well, yeah, but like,
and I think he chose that route simply because, you know, oldies covers are where he felt it safe at, and he's like, well, you know, we did Pet Sounds, we tried to do Smile, and that left like a very traumatic impact on my mental health. Probably not a good idea to go down that route again. Oldie stuff never let us down before. Let's just do that.
Well, and I agree. I think though that like the label, I think it's sad because by the time you get to Holland, you have this era from like, well, you could say from like Wild Honey to Holland, where the other guys really were like, okay, we can be this band now. Not to like cut Brian out, but it's like we proved ourselves that we can do this. And then like the label's just like, we don't care. We'll just take what Brian wants to do. And then you get Love You, which
something that most people neglect to think about is even though those albums are credited to being produced by the Beach Boys as opposed to Brian Wilson, which they obviously are. It is more of a democratic group effort, but at least on Smiley Smile, maybe debatable, but for sure Wild Honey, definitely Friends, not so much on 2020, but a lot on Sunflower. Brian's footprints are still very much all over those albums.
Well, I didn't mean that he wasn't like involved with it, but I think the other guys really kind of proved like that.
Right, they did.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Proved themselves. You know what's really great is that 72, incredible. But yeah, it's just you wonder what would have happened if they would have kept going.
I'll tell you what would have happened, and unfortunately, this would mean that Endless Summer would have to not exist in the time that it did. Because
I'm cool with that.
It's great for what it is. Those early songs are great. We wouldn't have gotten to Pet Sounds or anything else without them, but it stunted what they were trying to do. We can't deny that. And I'll tell you what we probably could have gotten. A higher step of creativity from the group. The Caribou album, which was the working title of those Caribou Ranch sessions. I mean, had the studio not burned down, who knows?
Right, there was a fire.
What would have happened with all that? But I think we totally would have gotten a new album in '74 if Endless Summer had not come out when it did.
They touched about the Caribou Ranch fire on the Terry Kath documentary too, and I didn't even know that. Here's hold
on, I don't want to cut you off, but that's another one that I had a friend I used to talk to online who was really into this. The Beach Boys in Chicago toured together, and
yes.
they were like,
that's what they did.
Yeah, people call it Beachago. Apparently, like they played, but they apparently they had some where some of the groups mixed and played on each other's stuff, I guess.
Yeah, they did that. They did that in '71 with the Grateful Dead tours. They were playing each other's songs. Can you imagine
Carl singing "If You Leave Me Now"? Bro.
Well, you don't even have to imagine this, because I don't know if y'all know this, but around that same time, Chicago came out with this little song, and guess who's featured on backing vocals on it? The Beach Boys.
What song was it?
Wishing You Were Here, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's got Terry Kath on vocals, and then Peter Cetera comes in a little bit later. But in the harmonizing bits, you can clearly, for sure, you can hear Carl in there.
Also, Baby What a Big Surprise, which I love that song. They're on there.
Really? They're on that one too?
Uh-huh. Now, let's play this little 30-second clip. I just tripped on this.
This is very good. Hold my nose. Hold my nose.
Hold my nose.
That's so silly.
Squeeze.
Oh, that was from that 94, 95 reunion.
That's how you used to.
Basically, Brian Wilson wrote a bunch of songs with Andy Paley, and 3 or 4 would have become new Beach Boys songs.
Oh, you mean Smart Girls?
No,
Beachago. How about
only two of them were completed, with one of them being reported a session that Carl walked out on because he wasn't feeling the vibe. But this was about 94, 95, when they were even Brian was like, yeah, let's totally do a Beach Boys reunion in the mid 90s. And they completed 2 songs, You're Still a Mystery and Soul Searching, which are available on the Made in California box set. And then there was this third one that they were working on called Dancing the Night Away, which that only exists in demo form, which it's mostly instrumental. But then there's a brief bit in it where they do come in and do vocals.
Yes. Brian Wilson is Ozzy Osbourne. I like Kokomo. It goes the toilet real well. I don't understand that phrase, but that's okay.
Now,
But yeah, that
said
clip that
made in
Paul was showing
California.
was from that era.
You said made in California. Is that the one that has the adult child tracks on it?
Yes, it's
Okay.
the one that has that's the one that has like the higher sound quality version of It's Over Now. Because if you play the one that's on the 30 Years Good Vibrations box set, it doesn't really hit the same, in my opinion.
Well, anything's better than that bootleg I have.
Adult child, that's another interesting subject matter. Because I can't help but just keep admitting that with everything going on with the Love You album in 1977, history was just repeating itself. You name another time in the history prior to that Brian was working on something that he felt really excited about and that he had been working really hard on, but he didn't get the amount of support that he needed, especially from Mike Love. Sounds like that sounds to me. And then Adult Child was like, what the hell are you doing? We're doing jazz arrangements now? No.
Well, but like, I don't get the worship for Love You. Like, to me, it feels like an acid prophecy record, but maybe a little more structured. You know? Like,
what I get with that is that
what's on?
I just felt like he wanted to. He did that song for Friends, Busy Doing Nothing, and he just wanted to write like 14 of those for Love You in that same style, just like writing about everything that he goes on during his day.
Is this like around the cheese?
Forgive me, but I'm hearing some scratchy audio.
Is it me?
I don't know. It might be. It could be because Mason just shut his off.
Here, I'm
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what to do then. I'm just using my phone.
Well, it's okay. I mean, like I said, we were gonna wrap this up in a minute or two anyway, though. No offense, because we did hit the 90-minute mark. But you know what? I do want to eventually continue this conversation because yes, I do like Beach Boys and I like all that other stuff. But because of the sound issue, we're going to cut this short. I want to appreciate Tyler and Mason for coming on up here, and I want to appreciate everybody checking here in the chat room here. And it says here, I love the progression of the outtakes for Heroes and Villains. I've heard bits and pieces of that too. But like I said, please like and subscribe if you haven't done it already. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your frenemies about Psycho's Platters. Always powered by coffee each and every time. Yes, God knows how many copious cups of coffee I've had. And always remember this lovely little fact. Psycho's Platters is a Love Peace production.